What up, guys? I just recorded a 15-minute long video, so I just wanted to give you a quick summation of what I'm talking about. So you might want to watch the whole thing because I go in depth. But basically, it's the debate between controllers, turntables, and/or CDJs sometimes. And I think to sum up, what it comes down to is time in front of this gear, and lack of time in front of certain gear may lead to lack of understanding or lack of love because you just haven't had enough time to play around with it and have fun with it as others may have, whether that's a controller, CDJs, or turntable setup. And so from that lack of understanding or lack of love becomes hate. And then that is directed at other people and what they use for whatever reason, because I guess we're human and we're stupid sometimes. So that's the summation. We need to stop this debate because it's not a debate. It's just hating on preference, and that's ridiculous. Okay, so I go into all that and more. Make sure to watch the whole thing. Click like, subscribe, and share. Do what you got to do to help me help you, and I'll talk to you soon. What's up, guys? G-Mer from Mission DJ here. Today, I'm not going to show any techniques. I'm actually going to just talk a little bit off the cuff about a little bit of an emotionally driven subject, in my opinion, and that is whether you should use a controller, turntables, or CDJs, or really any gear of preference. Having said that, there's a lot of debate out there that says a controller's better. And then you got people from the turntable community and the CDJ community. Well, not so much the CDJ community. It's more of just controller versus turntable, to be honest. Turntables. So I want to give you my opinion on that, and hopefully it'll help you make sense of this debate as you've probably seen before or heard or maybe been a part of. And I say debate in quotes because what are we debating? We're debating preference, which is ridiculous. Okay? There's a time and a place for all sorts of gear, and all gear should be respected. All people should be respected. All certain paths in careers, in whether it's a career or a hobby, should be respected. Okay? So I've seen a lot of controller DJs say that turntables, you can do the same thing with turntables. And like, I don't know what all the hype is. And then I see turntable DJs hate on controller DJs because they're not good enough, right? And everything in between, all this back and forth. So it's crazy, guys. Like, I personally learned on a controller. Okay, I personally prefer turntables or CDJs. That's just my preference. Okay, and I think it kind of amounts to what your aspirations are as a DJ and what you're going to use the most and what works best for you. I still use a controller on all my mobile gigs. I like to be in the mobile gig space still. That is one avenue of income for me as a DJ, and I enjoy it most times. I prefer the bar or club scene, so I prefer that realm with the gear that is standard in that realm, which is turntables or CDJs, not controllers. So there's a time and a place for all this gear. Okay, you can DJ on a controller in a club, sure. You can probably sound the same or very similar on a controller compared to a DJ on a turntable setup, or maybe CDJs. But the thing is, if you're going in that environment, you should be well-rounded enough to spin on anything that's put in front of you. The concepts of DJing apply to all gear the same. It's just the feel and sometimes the technique you have to adjust to DJ properly on a controller versus turntables, for example. Okay? So my thing is you should be well-rounded enough to know how to spin on all these different pieces of equipment because you're a DJ, okay? And DJing is growing, it's evolving, it's a lot of different spaces. Bar, club, mobile, bedroom now. But bedroom's probably becoming part of the culture now, especially with COVID going on, right? And the controller is great for the bedroom, okay? But a controller is not great for the club because clubs don't have controllers. They don't. They have CDJs or turntables. So if that's your realm, then turntables and CDJs are probably going to be your preference. That's where I like to DJ. That's where I want to DJ more. That's what I aspire to be, is one of those DJs that are in front of these awesome crowds in these awesome venues, spinning on the equipment that they provide, which are turntables again, and CDJs or CDJs. I've never found a controller in a... One time I found a controller in a bar and it was great. It worked. The crowd loved it. The crowd doesn't care. The crowd doesn't know. Maybe a few sticklers in the crowd, especially the DJs in there, will pay attention to what the equipment is. But it doesn't. It really only comes down to what you aspire to be, because that is where your aspirations are going to take you, to where your aspirations lead you, right? And that's going to be whatever industry you're in. Okay, so mobile DJs, controllers are so much better, in my opinion, for mobile DJs because they're so easy to move around. They're mobile. The controllers are. They're great for that. And I love my controller for mobile gigs. I hate bringing turntables to gigs because they're just heavy, they're awkward, they take up space in my Jeep. Like, it's just, everything about them on a mobile gig is annoying. I have to spin on them in the flight cases, which is a different feel than my setup in my lab here. So I prefer controllers at mobile gigs. So all this bickering back and forth, whether turntables are better or controllers are better, it just depends on your scene, on your gig. Okay? So stop arguing. However, I will say that if you are bashing someone for the gear that they use, you need to get your head out of your ass and realize that person is on a completely different, most likely a completely different path than you, and you need to respect them as you wish they would respect you. Okay? Not everyone has the opportunity to get in front of turntables or CDJs because they're more expensive. Those are like a little bit more rare to find a good working set of CDJs to practice on, or turntables. So those people don't work on those a lot. So they may prefer controllers just because they haven't had the opportunities that other folks have to get in front of that gear. And I think that's probably where some of the hate comes from, is controller DJs don't know how to spin quite that well on turntables, and or maybe even turntable DJs don't know how to work controllers that well. And so what they don't understand, they fear. What they fear, they hate. It's just, we're humans. So my advice to anyone out there is, first of all, again, realize everyone's on a different path than you, and everyone is not privileged, like some may be, to be in positions to get gigs, to practice on this gear, to really feel how it works, and then have fun with it and experience it for all of its different little factors and uniqueness. Like, that's why I love turntables. I've been blessed to have turntables for a few years now, and I've just attacked them almost every day, at least a couple times a week when I was first starting out. And I love them. I love the feel of turntables versus controller. Okay, that's just my preference. But like I said, I love my controller on gigs, and I can still have a lot of fun. Mobile gigs, and I can still have a lot of fun on that thing. But if I have a turntable setup, hands down preferring that. Or CDJs. CDJs, when I first started on CDJs, I was like, it looks like just a city of lights and streets and wheels and everything in front of you in 3 pieces of equipment, 2 CDJs and a mixer. It looks like madness. And you're like, what? How am I supposed to navigate through this thing? And it's tough. You got to get in front of it and learn it, and then you can learn to love it. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're not really gonna have that much fun. Okay, unless you're like a masochist and you like going through struggles, which honestly we all should. We need to learn to get through these struggles and learn to find ways to find this gear so that we can all be well-rounded and stop hating on each other. It's freaking stupid. So if you prefer controllers, awesome. But don't say they're better than turntables. They have the time and a place, and they can do things that maybe turntables can't. They're better in certain situations. Likewise for turntables, don't say controllers suck or that they're amateur. Okay, because there's pros throwing down 6 sets on controllers. However, if that controller DJ comes into the club and can't spin on turntables, well then that's not quite pro. Okay? That's not pro. That is amateur. So I guess the moral of the story is try to be as well-rounded as possible. Build your network so that you can get in front of this gear, or go to Guitar Center. Just practice on CDJs. That's what all new DJs do, right? Turntables are different. They don't have turntables usually set up at Guitar Center. So, but you can get some cheap ones for the price of a good controller these days. They might even be a little bit equal too. And that's another thing about controllers is I always recommend starting out with a controller. That's what I did. It's easy. It fits on your desk. It's about this big, some of them. Some of them can be bigger, obviously, but they're also most likely the cheapest, most inexpensive option out there to get started DJing, because DJing is a commitment. It's expensive. You got to buy the gear, right? So that's another advocate for controllers, but turntables are where it's at for me. Maybe not for you. You could be a CDJ person. You could be a tractor person on one of those tractor controllers, which are pretty alien to me because I've actually never DJ'd on one, but I'd like to learn. So realize that when you're debating with someone about turntables versus controllers, and I always use this example because that's what I see the most. No one ever really brings in CDJs. I feel like CDJs are kind of in a realm of their own. But if you see this debate again with turntables and CDJs, just maybe help them out and tell them that they're good for each industry, right? It's just preference. Stop arguing. You're wasting your time. Okay, because each is not better than the other, but you should know how to work with each. And that's all I have to say about that. So if you guys want to learn on a controller, turntables, or CDJs, I got you covered here at Mission DJ. Just let me know. All right, guys, hopefully that was helpful. I want to end this stupid debate and just kind of look at it from all different angles. All right. So let everyone else do what they're going to do. And if you're going to throw some advice their way, be kind, be respectful, and don't downplay their path or their gear. Simple as that. All right, guys. Happy spinning. Talk to you soon.